Hello, children. So let us start page number 5 today. In this page, you have an activity. The name of that activity is Priestley's Experiment. Priestley's Experiment. So the heading for this is Air and Photosynthesis. In this activity, we are going to see that how oxygen was discovered, by whom it was discovered. Okay. So as you know, children, it took hundreds of years for any of the thing in the past to be discovered or invented. So same thing happened even with the discovery of oxygen. In the starting, when some study was being done about photosynthesis, at that time it was considered that photosynthesis will be performed with the help of air. But in air, exactly which gas is required, that was unknown. Later on, it was found by some of the scientists. So, some of the inventions or discoveries, like the discovery of oxygen, was a milestone in the gradual development of our understanding of photosynthesis. So Joseph Priestley, he was the most eminent scientist who was born in the year 1733 and lived till 1804. So in the year 1770, he performed a series of experiments that revealed the essential role of air on the growth of green plants and for performing photosynthesis. Till his experiments, the role of oxygen in photosynthesis was not known. In the year 1774, Priestley discovered oxygen, and the term oxygen was coined by Lavoisier, Lavoisier, Lavoisier in the year 1775. So when Priestley started this experiment, what he did, he just took one bell jar and inside that he kept one candle. In your lower classes also you may be having, or previously you might have seen, no children, that when an inverted glass is kept on a burning candle, after some time the candle will be put off. So the same thing happened even for Priestley's experiment when he took a candle and kept it inside a bell jar. So the air which was present in the bell jar, that was utilized by the burning candle. As you all know that any process of combustion requires oxygen gas. In absence of oxygen gas, burning or combustion will not take place. Then later on, inside the same bell jar, he has lit again a candle and kept one small mouse. What could have happened? Whatever air is there, air is of same amount. When in the starting, when the candle was kept, how much amount of air was present? Same amount of air was present in the second step also. But here the competition for that air was more, because a mouse was also introduced. So whatever was the available air, that has to be shared between the burning candle as well as the mouse. Then very quickly it was observed that the candle was put off and the mouse also died, as it was unable to respire properly due to suffocation. It died. Then later on he carried on the experiment by taking the bell jar and inside it he placed one pot, a pot of mint leaves or mint plant, and a candle and a living mouse. When three of them were kept, the competition for that air may be much more. But to his astonishment, what was found? It was found that the candle was continuing to burn. The plant was also very healthy, and even the mouse survived. So, with this activity, he observed that something is going on which is creating a balance so that the candle is continuing to be burned and the mouse is also surviving and the plant is also very healthy. So he did research on this activity and later on he found that some process will be done by the plants, which is nothing but photosynthesis, and due to photosynthesis some gas is liberated which was later on found to be oxygen, and this oxygen which was produced by the green plants was being utilized by the mouse as well as burning candle. And later on, still more, it was found that whatever is being done by the candle and the mouse is being reversed by the plants. It means that the candle and mouse were producing carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide is a waste gas for these both activities, that is for combustion and for living organism. So this carbon dioxide was being utilized by the plants for performing photosynthesis. And in return, during photosynthesis, the plants were giving out oxygen. And oxygen is a very, very precious gas for survival. Survival by the living organism, including the plants themselves, because plants, they will perform photosynthesis as well as respiration. So during respiration, plants themselves also require oxygen, but during photosynthesis, plants require carbon dioxide. So this oxygen only the plants were able to produce, and that oxygen was being utilized for all the combustion activities which are taking place on the surface of the earth, and also by the living organism, whether it is a minute microscopic organism or a macroscopic organism, invertebrate or a vertebrate, any type of living organism, including the plants, utilize oxygen. So finally, Priestley restored that plants restore the air what breathing animals and burning candles remove. This is very, very important point. I'll read it again. Plants restore the air what breathing animals and burning candles remove. So what does breathing animals and burning candles remove? They will remove oxygen from the air. Then plants will restore that. Plants will produce back the oxygen. So that's why this statement that plants restore the air what breathing animals and burning candles remove. So here it is given that do you find any relationship between candle, rat and mint plant? Of course, candle, rat and mint plant, they do have the relationship. Already we have discussed about that. Whatever the plants are producing, that is oxygen during photosynthesis. That is being utilized by the candle as well as the mouse. Whatever is being given out by candle and mouse, that is being taken by plants, and that is nothing but carbon dioxide is being produced, which is being taken by the plants to perform photosynthesis. Above that all, plants, they themselves also require oxygen during respiration and carbon dioxide during photosynthesis. In the textbook, it is given that Priestley's experiment confirmed that gaseous exchange was going on, and plants were giving out a gas that supported burning and was essential for the survival. So plants were giving out a gas. Which gas was that? Oxygen, that supported burning and was essential for survival of animals and also the plants. Then how do plants take in air? Can you say, children, how the plants will take in air? Plants will take in air. Why do they need to take in air? Just like why do we need to take in air? We take in air for respiration. In the same way, plants are also living organisms. Every living organism requires oxygen for respiration. So plants also take in air. Through which part do they take in air? Like we have a specific nose, the nostrils which are present, through the nostrils will take in the air. But did we ever find any nose or any nostrils to any of the plants? No. But in fact, we can say that stomata. In plants, stomata will help to take in air. Stomata are utilized. Stomata is present on the lower surface of the leaf, and it is used for taking in air and giving out excess of air, and also during transpiration. In your 6th class and 7th class, you have studied about transpiration. So stomata doesn't mean it is related only to transpiration, but in fact for exchange of gases also, that is taking in of oxygen during photosynthesis and giving out of taking in of oxygen during respiration and giving out of carbon dioxide during respiration. Taking in of carbon dioxide during photosynthesis and giving out of oxygen during photosynthesis. So stomata is the main part which has two kidney shaped cells. You know the structure of stomata. So this stomata helps in exchange of gases during photosynthesis, respiration, as well as it helps during transpiration. Excess of water will be lost out from the plants and it will be given out through the stomata. So how do the plants make choice whether they have to perform respiration or photosynthesis? Of course, every living organism requires to perform respiration for 24 hours, irrespective of whether light is present or absent. In the same way, plants also perform respiration throughout the day. But it performs photosynthesis only in the presence of light. In the sunlight, it will be performing. In that also, again, you have light reaction and dark reaction. Light reaction where sunlight is essential, and dark reaction is irrespective of presence of light. Okay, in the leaves stomata is present, but what about the stem? In the stem, there is one important thing which is called as lenticels. So first of all, here you can see, children, this is the diagram of a stomata where two kidney shaped cells which are called as, in the center they are present, which are called as guard cells. By the opening and closing of this stomata only, the exchange of gases will take place. When these guard cells are apart, a hole will be present in the middle, which is called as the stomata is in open condition, and the stomata is in closed condition when the two kidney shaped guard cells come near to each other. So stomata is present in leaf, whereas in the stem what is present? On the stem, in some of the plants it will be very clear that small dot shaped structure or eye shaped structures are present, which are called as lenticels. So these lenticels, in the second diagram you can see that it will be a opening. So in the branches and in the trunk part, the lenticels will help in exchange of gases. So on the stem surface or on the trunk part, here you can see that the lenticels are in opened condition, which will help in exchange of gases. So in this video I have made only one activity, children, that was about the Priestley's experiment. In the next video tomorrow by 12 o'clock I will post a video that is activity 2, that is carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Okay children, thank you.